Hi teachers and anyone else who might be joining, just to jump in as we chat about teaching from home. So what I don't know, an odd situation to find ourselves in, stressful, maybe exciting for you, anxious, just who ever thought we would be here in this situation where we're getting prepared to teach from home. I taught in classrooms for 12 plus years and have worked as a school leader as well, and never in my life did I anticipate that this is something we would have to prepare for. And certainly stepping into this role this year, I never thought I would be running one of my first webinars on teaching from home. But we're here, we're all here together, we all have a role to play and we all have something to do in this space. And what's really important right now is, as we transition into whatever space it is that we're going to, is that we really come together and we connect, and we look at teaching from home as an opportunity to do things that maybe we haven't seen yet, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel that I want to share with you about. There are a few ironic things that I'll unpack for you about this opportunity, and it's important that we look at that. And it's also important that we connect with our students right now so that they know that they are cared for and loved and safe and thought of, because for some of us, we're going to be stepping away for students whom we are really a magical part of their life for. And I think about some of the students I've had in the past, that's almost heartbreaking to know that you're not going to see them every day. So there are highs and lows that are going to come with this, but I think we need to look at it from, a personal view for ourselves, our family, and other people that we have around us that we need to take care of, our students and our learning and our home environment. And we need to be able to bring it all together. And I think we can do that really successfully. So let's have a little look at that. We can't, because it doesn't want to go to the next slide. Why not? What are my settings? Oh, it's on the wrong setting. So I'm recording this for the second time, I'll have you know, because the first time it didn't work either. And I've only been talking for 5 minutes, so I could stop and start again, but we're all teachers and we're all used to technology not working, so I'm not going to do that. Let's go to the next slide. Fun times. Okay, so I want you to just check in with yourself for a minute and ask yourself, how are you feeling right now? It's, as I was saying, it's a time that we just couldn't have prepared for if we tried, I don't think. And now we're preparing for it as we're in it, which is like a whole bizarre thing again. But what's really important is that no matter how you're feeling, it's acceptable. It's totally okay. Whether you're sad, whether you're anxious, whether you're stressed, whether you're frustrated, whether you're angry, whether you're excited, whether you're happy about this, whether you're annoyed, whether you're just like so overwhelmed, I think any emotion is valid and any emotion is correct. So just take 30 seconds, have a sip of your tea if you've got one. That's what I'm going to do. And just ask yourself how you're feeling right now, because we are teachers are constantly moving and we don't often check in. So how are you feeling? My tummy's rumbling. So I'm feeling hungry. But it's not really important right now, is it? I mean, it is. Eating is important. But I think what's more important is that no matter how you're feeling, including hungry, someone else will be feeling that way as well. And, you don't have to be angry. You don't have to be annoyed. You don't have to be sad. You don't have to be excited in some way. You don't have to be overwhelmed. You have to be however you are, but you have to acknowledge that some people will feel the same as you and some people won't. But whatever they're feeling, it's normal. So there has to be a sense of kindness that we enter this space with, and a sense of connection that we are searching for our own benefit and the benefit of others. I think it's really easy to, especially as a teacher, and I'm guilty of this all the time, to have that do mindset. And right now it's so hard to do because we don't know what the unknown looks like. You know, this is new territory for all of us. No one has been here before, be you a teacher, a leader, a parent, a student. What we don't know is what this will look like. What we do know is that we need to come together and connect so that we can get through this. That is so important right now. And so I really do encourage you to act from a place of kindness for yourself first, feeling all the feels, knowing that whatever emotion you have, it's totally valid. The same for your parents and your other school colleagues and your students too. Really important. So check in with you and then check in with those around you. And then the next layer of kindness comes from when you're teaching and learning. There is a layer of kindness that needs to be used as a lens in terms of how we look at what we're doing day to day. So we'll talk about that as well. All right, let's move on. So I think there's a really ironic part to what's happening right now. And, you know, there's a part of me that feels guilty for some of the things that I'm going to say, because I think it's such an awful time that we're in. But there's also an element of, I'm struggling to find the right word because I would hate to upset anyone. And it's not, there's just going to be opportunities here, I think, that we haven't focused on. Now, as humans, we have a complete negativity bias. So in any situation or opportunity, we will find the negative. We're really good at talking about this and articulating it. We're really good at talking about what we don't like, what we don't want, and what we want to stay away from. We're not great at finding the opportunity, especially if it's hidden under a layer of bad stuff like this virus, right? And so there are going to be some opportunities here that ironically are connected to things that as teachers we often complain about. We often have as little bugbears in terms of how we operate daily. And so as I was planning this, I didn't want it to be all doom and gloom, because it's not. And I didn't want you to walk away thinking that you were going to have to work harder than ever because you're working from home, because I don't actually think that that's true. I think there are some opportunities for us as educators and as people that we need to look upon to be able to make this successful for us. I would often say both in and out of the classroom, but I think, you know, it's more about successful as a teacher and as the person you are in your home, because that's where you're going to be for most of it, right? So the first ironic thing has to be time. Teachers are so good at never having enough time. I'll just say it like that. You know, if you ask teachers, you know, what would you like now? What could really help you to get out of whatever or to do this? They would say, I just need more time. I need more time. I never have enough time. I don't have enough time to write reports. I don't have enough time to teach the curriculum. I don't have enough time to read about blah. I don't have enough time to spend with this student. I don't have enough time. My goodness, I'm so guilty of that. As a teacher, for sure, I always wanted more time. But, you know, what I learned was there's never enough time when you're a teacher, because there's always something else to do. So you will never find an end point. So it's about focusing on what you can focus on right now. I'll tell you something else that's going on. Since leaving the classroom, I haven't talked that much because I work from home by myself now doing this, and now I'm talking a lot. I'm getting like that lose my voice thing. So I apologise. I'm sipping on hot water, tea. It reminds me of my first year of teaching when I lost my voice all the time. It's quite funny. So I think that in this, you're going to notice that you will have elements of time that you didn't have before. So instantly, you don't have to commute to work anymore. So for some of you who commute 30, 40, 50, maybe even up to an hour each way, that's 2 hours out of your day you will get back. That's got to be a positive in an ironic kind of way, right? That's got to be something that we can leverage and look at how we can use that in a really positive way. It could mean that you have more time to plan and prepare your lessons that are going to be online. It could be that you have more time to look at assessment for your students. It could be that you now have more time to practice some self-care and take care of your own well-being. It could be that you have time to focus on a few of those students who you know are lagging and you want to give a bit more attention to, or you want to extend. And now you can run a mini focus group online with the 5 students without having 20 in the background that you got to keep an eye on. That's got to be a win in this situation, or it could mean that you have more time to spend with your own child, and that also is a massive positive. Ironic that we are saying we never have enough time, and in a way we're being given more time, but it's making us panic, it's making us freak out. So have that in the back of your mind now. You're going to have a little bit more time. You're also not going to be expected to teach from 9 till 3 every day and then attend after school meetings. We're going to have to be flexible and adaptable here, and that is something we are great at as teachers. I mean, how many times have you had to stop your lesson because something happened on the playground and you cannot do anything until it's sorted? Or, you've been walking into your classroom at 9 a.m. and a parent grabs you and they have to have like a really quick chat with you that's super important, and it's not quick, it's like 15 minutes. And so you've just got to adapt to that as well. We're good at adapting, we're good at flexible, we're good at going with it, and we have to bring those skills in. So pay attention to what that looks like for you. What else did I have? So, I think one of the ironic things too is, as a teacher, we're so used to living our life by the bell. We often joke about it, right? We often joke about, I can't have lunch yet because, got to wait till the bell rings, and it's a school night, so I've got to go to bed early, and, learning to hold your bladder should be a university course because it's a real problem. And if you're not teaching at school and you don't have bells controlling your life, I mean, of course, you'll have meetings and regular set times where you need to be teaching or attending a staff PL or whatever that might be, but it'll all be online. If you don't have those bells, you don't have to worry about eating out of a container on your way to playground duty. You don't have to worry about unjamming the photocopier while you're trying to guzzle down a coffee. It's really quite fascinating, because there are some things as teachers that we find quite painful and restricting in terms of having a job. Like, you can't just go and sit in the sunshine whenever you feel like it. You kind of can now. You can actually take your laptop outside and sit in the sunshine. You can eat whenever you want, really. You'll have to work around some online stuff, but give or take, you can go to the toilet whenever you like. That's going to be probably one of the most novel things you've ever experienced since you started teaching. Oh my goodness. In saying that, though, there are some things that you have to learn about living by the bell that I think we should adopt when we work from home. So because we are creatures of habit, we are programmed, whether we've paid attention or not, because we're teachers, to do things at certain times. We have recess at the same time, we have lunch at the same time. That's how our day works. So adopting some of those habits at home is really going to be helpful. So I personally, even though I'm not teaching in a classroom, still use a day planner. Here it is. You probably can't see, but it's got text on it. It's a high performance planner by Brendan Burchard. That's irrelevant to you. My point is that I start each day by writing down some goals, and there's some mindset things in there. Like, it asks me what my biggest challenge might be today. It asks me what are my top 3 goals I need to focus on. It asks me who is someone I might want to connect with today. So kind of get me in the zone and thinking about that. And then the diary itself is broken into 30-minute intervals, and I will map out my day as best I can. So it goes from 6 a.m. and think until 8 p.m. Now I map out everything, every half an hour chunk. I don't start work at 6 and finish till 7, no. But I have a bit more flexibility because I work from home, and so you will have that option as well. Now, do I always do everything? No. Do I always follow it? No. But I find that just by writing down my tasks each day, I don't forget stuff. I have in the front of my mind what I need to focus on, and it also is a great reflection tool. So flicking back and forth each day. There's also a nighttime reflection part to do. So as a teacher, we have our timetables, our day books, our day planners. I encourage you to keep using those, because that's something that we're used to. It helps us stay organized. It helps us to know what we've got to do, and it helps keep us on task. So if you use that in your classroom, if you use that to organize your day, whether it's paper or online or whatever that looks like, I highly encourage you to keep doing that. And in fact, I would say if you don't do it, now is a really good time to start. I was speaking to a girlfriend on the weekend, and she has started working from home as of last week. And she said to me, oh my goodness, Amy, I need some tips. I have started working from home. And what I'm going to tell you is the house is clean. I have cleaned out every cupboard and drawer, some of them twice. I have cleaned the walls, and now I am up to cleaning the outside of the windows, and I'm not sure what to do next, but I'm not doing any work. So that's kind of a problem. So I talked through some strategies with her, just like I am doing with you right now, because it's so easy to get distracted at home. You know, like everything you've been putting off certainly can start to become way more appealing than designing your lessons, not because you don't value it, but because you're in a space where that temptation is there. I mean, you cannot be cleaning out the kitchen drawers while you're at work, while you're at school, because the physical space is different. So you might have some temptations around you that will distract you from doing what's actually needed. And so I really encourage you to use a day planner or a diary, whatever works. Another thing that is really also on that, sticking to schedule, I do actually schedule in when I have my breakfast, when I have my lunch, when I'm switching off. So on an average day, you know, at 6 a.m. I have like a morning routine that I go through, which if you don't have one, I really encourage you to also look at and start to practice. So mine is about, I always start with lemon and water, then I move into some journaling, then I do a bit of meditation, and then I go to the gym, although won't be doing that, will I? So I do some kind of exercise, and then I normally start my work day. I break for breakfast, I do a bit more work, I break for lunch, and then I do a bit more work, and then in the afternoon I go outside. So I plan in that I'm going to have outside time. I plan in when I'm going to do my academic reading. I plan in when I'm going to have dinner, and I plan in when I'm going to switch off. And by switch off, I mean no devices, chill out time. So I will watch comedies and light TV things with my partner over night time, because if you continually focus on that, the negativity that's happening in the world at the moment, or really just any time, it's really hard for your brain to be able to switch off and mellow out. And that's where we can find we have sleeping issues and stuff. And so I find that really works for me. So having a schedule around your day will really help, because it's what you're used to. So I highly encourage you to do that. Excuse me. I can't remember what I was going to say. I just distracted myself. Typical teacher, off on a tangent. So do that. Get yourself some kind of, oh, I know what I was going to talk about. I was talking about space. So when you work from home, one of the really easy things to get distracted by is what's around you, as I was saying, and my friend who's cleaned every cupboard. So one thing that can really help, as you know, is physical environment. And in your classroom, you have a physical environment that is built for you, right? It's built for purpose for you and your students. And when you go in there, you know what to expect. Home is not the same though, because your home space at the moment is a space for relaxing, it's a space for family, it's a space for leisure. So when I started working from home this year, I turned our spare room into an office, and I actually have built my desk in the spare wardrobe. So I had to do some cleaning and some culling, and I took everything out of the spare wardrobe, and I have built a desk in there. So if I do this, you can see the door starts to shut, so it would shut off my entire workspace. Because when I now come into this room and open the wardrobe and look at my desk and sit down, my brain instantly knows that I'm ready to work. When you go into a classroom, your brain knows you're ready to teach. So you're going to have to retrain your brain in a way to know what work space looks like. And so that could mean setting up a space for where you actually do your work. So you might have an office desk, you might have a room you go into, you might, what kind of things do you have on your desk that you can take home with you? You know, I'm a primary school teacher, so I know that primary school teachers love things like stamps and pens to write with. And look, like I've got a jar of flowers here. You know, whenever I get given roses, I keep the petals. So it's just little things. I've got like little inspirational quotes that I've collected that I keep in my desk space. And I would do that when I was a teacher as well. I love this one. This is a teaching one. It says, "A teacher affects eternity, and one can never tell when or where their influence stops." It was given to me by a parent, which I quite love. So I keep that on my desk. And when I go in here, it's about work. And when we're teachers and we teach at a school and we sit at our desk, it's about work. So we need to be able to kind of model that environment, because otherwise at home you'll just be cleaning out kitchen cupboards. So that's something to kind of think about, how you will do that. Which, we always say as teachers, school would be so much better if there were no kids here. Well, guess what? There's no kids. Of course, we mean that with love. We love our students, but you feel like, you'd get so much more done if they weren't there. Kind of ironic, isn't it? Here we go. Sometimes I do think the universe listens, but the way it might deliver things is not always in the way you thought or the way you wanted, but there is a slight, and I do feel guilty saying it, but there is a slight bright side here that we have to start to look at. Instantly my brain is like, don't say that. Well, I think we can't just focus on the negative either, can we? We can't just focus on how difficult it's going to be or how hard it's going to be or that it's awful. If we continue to do that as well, we set ourselves up for failure and to be miserable and sad, and we can't live like that. This is our reality now, and so we have to be able to work with what we've got, and it's about looking for those different things that maybe we haven't noticed yet. Okay. Gosh, I talk a lot. Imagine my poor kids in my class. No, I didn't talk this much when I was a teacher. Keep instruction minimal. So, keeping the learning going. Learning, love it. I'm a big talker about teaching and learning. Ironically, as I'm a teacher and it is our core business, but I know there's a lot of other things that come into our classroom. And as a leader, most of my roles were around leading teaching and learning, and I was always about keeping all plates spinning. Don't drop one, we've got to keep going. But now as we find ourselves in this situation, and I find myself in this space, I'm really starting to realize that right now we're going to have to drop a few plates. We're going to have to let some things go. We're going to have to, I think, really come with kindness and connection first. So you have to connect with your students in a different way now, because face-to-face isn't there. So first of all, it's about opening yourself up to them in this environment. Maybe you're using Zoom, maybe you're using another platform, whatever it is that your school is using, and making them feel comfortable first. But also letting them know that we're still here to learn. We just can't learn the way we used to now. So, there are going to be some things that you can do and still do really well, and there are going to be some things that you can't do. One of the things that we have to think about here, though, is that we're going to be using and connecting with parents a lot to support us in the learning space. Now, I should have talked about this before, because this is kind of ironic too. Often what we say is, I just can't get a hold of this parent, and I would love to have more connection with this parent, and I would love it if parents were in my classroom more, and I would love it if parents knew more about what was going on. And guess what? They will now, because they're going to have to be here on this journey with us and with you and your students and your school. And so ironically, one of the things we could never quite get a grasp of, and that we were always too busy for, and they were too busy for, and it just, it never really worked out the way we wanted it to. I'm generalizing, I don't mean everyone, but there are definitely cases where you can't lock a parent down, or you want them to be a little bit more involved in learning than they are, but they can't because they're just too busy or whatever. Not anymore. We're all here and we all have to work together. So what we have to understand is the learning environments are going to look different. And whilst we are still the teachers and the experts and the leaders of teaching and learning, we're relying heavily on parents now. So I think in this time we really have to ask ourselves what's essential and what can we let go of. So if we think about our essential and transferable skills, that comes with literacy and numeracy, or English and maths, especially in the junior years of schooling and in primary school. Now, as you move more into secondary subjects, you want to be looking at your subject-specific areas, but also how can you do that in a way that is, for all of us, engaging and fun, and about making learning not seem like learning. And we already know that for most parents, homework is a massive struggle. Kids go to school all day and the last thing they want to be doing is their homework, and they come home and they don't want to do it, and parents will often say, oh, how can I get my child to do more learning at home? I'm really struggling to get them to do their homework. And so we have to acknowledge it's going to be a battle for them. Remember that not everyone, again, I'm generalizing, but it could be. And we have to remember that there are so many more distractions in the home. Students don't have their pets at home. They don't have other siblings at home. They don't have parents in the background at home. They don't have their toys in the background. They don't have things on their devices at school like they would at home. So there are all these kinds of distractions that we're going to have to navigate and work together around as well. So we have to drop some plates. Now, for those of you who know me would be probably shocked right now, thinking, oh my goodness, I can't believe she's saying that, because as I said, I am like all for learning, but we have to drop our plates, and not all of them, but some, because we have to stick to the essentials. Students are not going to be learning for 6 hours a day. You are not going to be able to provide online learning like this 6 hours a day. It's not possible. So you're going to have reduced time. But that doesn't mean we sacrifice the quality of what we do. We have to deliver quality. We have to deliver it well, as we always would, but we have to know that it's not going to be all of what we would deliver. It might also mean that you have to let go of some of those amazing lessons you teach every year that you just love when they roll around, because you get to do this activity and that activity, and you get to go outside with this, and you get to learn this about kids, and you get to have this conversation. And some of those things we just won't get to do. If I think of some science lessons that I've run, or gosh, if you're a science teacher, you're not going to get to do all of those wonderful experiments. We can't be expecting parents to do that all the time at all. They also don't have the resources or the facilities, or the things that the materials they might require to do that. And so that is going to be tricky. That doesn't mean you can't do it though. That doesn't mean you can't stay at home and videotape yourself doing something, whatever sciencey it is. That doesn't mean you can't get the Bunsen burner out. Like, you can still do it and video it and share it with your kids. It just means that they can't do it. So we have to think, how can we do this in a fun and engaging and workable way? It can also mean that we can look at their current environment. So we know that they're going to be working in the home. Students will be. So what have they got there that they can use? Can we bring in some cooking for maths and English? Can we look at weight and conversions along with writing procedures? We can bring things together. I mean, they still have to eat. Can they make their lunch, and can we turn that into a learning experience? So it's about looking at what is essential. How can we make it fun and engaging? What can we leverage that students already have at home? How do we work with parents on this? And what are we going to let go of? And I think, if you have to let go of some stuff, you have to let go. Just be kind to yourself. You can't teach everything. You can't control everything. And that really leads me into the expectations we have on ourselves as teachers and right now. Now, I know, being a teacher, that most of us like things to be perfect. Most of us like things to look amazing. Most of us like things to be orderly, and we are driven by this need for control. And in this situation, it's not going to be possible. You can only control what you can control, and that is you. You can control yourself. You can control what you deliver. You can control what lessons you put up. You can control the learning experiences. But you can't control whether your students are going to be there or not. You can't control what resources your students have access to. You can't control if the learning is going to happen or not. Yeah, we can provide opportunities, but it might not always go to plan. Like I said to you, this is the second time I'm recording this, because I actually did it live this morning. So if you're watching this the second time around, the recording's a little bit different. I'm recording it again because you would know that my PowerPoint didn't work this morning when I did the presentation. Technology. We are relying on technology to get us through this time. Oh my goodness, what do teachers know about technology? It doesn't always work. How many times have you tried to get 25 kids to log on to Chromebooks, only to realize that by the time everyone's logged on, the lesson's finished? we are going to have stumbling blocks. We're going to have things that don't work. We are going to find ourselves planning something to deliver and it just does not happen. We're going to expect to have 25 students join us for an online lesson and 7 aren't going to be there because something else has happened. And you know what? They can catch up later. That is okay. You can't control that. You can control you, how you show up, what you plan and deliver, and how you engage and connect with those students that are there. We have to not lower our expectations in this space, but we have to be realistic with the expectations we have. So we might need to let some things go, but that doesn't mean we lower our expectations on what we are doing. Now, based on our circumstances and what is around us and the expectations of our school, that will determine the expectations we put on ourselves. And this is hugely needed to be driven by kindness to yourself. Sorry, I just have to have a sip of my tea and check to make sure there's not an emergency happening on my phone. No emergencies. Okay, hold on. I mean, that is going to happen in your lesson, isn't it? You're going to have little distractions teaching from home. You still need to stay connected with your team and your colleagues, and so it might be that you have a WhatsApp group set up like I do for my team, and occasionally you'll have to check that during a lesson because if there's an emergency or someone needs you or you need to help someone, you've got to be available. You might have kids in the background, you might have a pet. I'm sitting on a kitchen dining chair because this is the top of my blue office chair that you can see right here. Well, I don't sit on that anymore because my cat does. And if I get him off that, he's just going to be like right here in my face and you're all going to have to deal with that. So I just chose not to do that for your benefit, really. So, you know, you have to, things are going to be different. My goodness, it's not a classroom. You won't have the same resources available. You won't always have what you need, and like, that's okay. It's totally okay. As long as your expectations are matching the reality you have right now based on your experiences and your circumstances and the resources you have available, you know you're doing the best job you can. And that's all we can ask for. Now, I've mentioned this a few times, and I have also said that there is a part of me that feels a little bit guilty for saying so, but there is a bright side to this. And I think if we continually stay to focus on the downside, we're not going to be those vibrant, lovely, happy, engaging teachers that we are. And we're not going to allow this opportunity to thrive in the way it actually can. So, you know, I talked about time. There's a bright side to this. You don't have to commute to work anymore. You won't have people popping in and distracting you. I mean, we love our colleagues and we love our teaching partners, but they're not going to be like opening the door and being like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And can I borrow you for this? Because it won't happen. You know, there won't be excursions to organise. That is kind of sad, but you know, there'll be certain things that we don't have to do. And so what are you going to do with that time? Like I said earlier, and how can you give that back to students who might need that little bit more time? Or how can you give that back to your own self-care? Or how can you give that to your colleagues? There's some good stuff there, you know. Connecting with parents. We always say we want to connect with them more. Well, here's an opportunity to do that. Not having to live your life by the bell. There's got to be a perk, right? There's got to be something that we can get excited about in a way. You know, like, focus on the good here, because if we continually stay in the space of this is terrible, it really will impact your health. Now, I am running a self-care one in a few days, so I'm going to unpack that further. I'm not going to do it now. I think it's on Thursday. But what you focus on is what you get. So if you continue to focus on negative, you will get negative back. If you look for the positive and the opportunities, that's going to come to you. And you have to force yourself to do this in a way, because I mentioned negativity bias before, which again, I'll unpack later, but it's hard to do that, right? Especially if you're surrounded by negative stuff and negative people and negative news and all of that. You have to kind of find that yourself. And what an amazing thing to teach your students as well. What an amazing thing to teach your students about how you know what, we're not together, we're not in the classroom anymore, and that, yeah, there are some things we can't do, but what can we do? And what are some great opportunities we're going to have by being at home now? And what can you look forward to? And who can you connect with? And what can you do more of now you're not at school? We have to find the bright side. I think we can do that together. I think, don't get me wrong, I think this first phase, of course, there's a little bit of anxiety, overwhelm, stress, panic. But once we figure it out, once we get into that routine, it's really going to work. It's really going to put us in a good space. And I'm excited to see what that looks like, even just for education as a whole. So find those bright things to look at, find those opportunities, stay informed. That's really important, that you stay informed about what's happening in your area and our country and, with this situation as a whole, but you don't need every piece of information to do that. So find your news sources that you trust. I would check them maybe once or twice a day. Don't do this whole scrolly thing where you are just all you're looking at is that, because that's not great for us. So stay informed, but not with every piece of information, and give yourself some time off to go into lighthearted space. So don't watch the news at night time, find a comedy to watch. Don't spend your afternoon time scrolling on your phone, go for a walk outside instead. Don't get frustrated over a lesson you can't plan, pick up a colleague, talk to each other, lean on each other. That's what we really need to be doing in this space. So I'm going to leave you with that, my second recording. Technology, right? Teachers. It's always better the second time anyway. It's like teaching a lesson the second time, so you guys got lucky. I hope that's been helpful in some kind of way. I hope that that as Real Schools, we are here for you. Real Schools Academy is here just for teachers as well. So, you can be a part of that with us as we navigate this unknown territory together. There's no right or wrong. There's no perfect way of doing this. There's no way that we know if it's going to work. What we do know is that we are great teachers. We try our best all the time. We value quality and what we deliver, and that we need to look after ourselves and each other to get through this. And I think we have to let kindness and connection be our drivers first. And once we set that up, then learning will take place too. So as you navigate this transition between working from school to home, please take a moment to be kind to you and those around you and your colleagues and think of what they might be going through. Please set up that connection between yourself and others, whether it's just connection and communicating with people in your house about what your day is going to look like and how you navigate that, and connecting with your colleagues and how you're going to do that, and connecting with your staff and parents and how you're going to do that. Please do that and then move into learning. As I said earlier, I am all about teaching and learning, and it is my bread and butter and I love it. But I think right now that kindness and connection has to come through first. So I'm going to leave you with that. I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever it is you're doing. And like I said, if you do need anything, please reach out. That is what we're here for. Thank you.